For today's video, I'm going to be using noodle boosters that I got from the Dollar Tree to create beautiful ottomans. I also got hula hoops that I'll be using for the project as well. Noodle boosters are super strong and I'm like, why didn't I not think of this earlier? Because surprisingly enough, they will be really sturdy when they're all compacted together to sit on. All I'm doing now is creating space for this last one here to fit around the hula hoop because the hula hoop is supposed to be really snug against the noodle boosters. Fill up the middle. If you're new to my channel, it's so great to have you here. Now don't forget to click on the subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my latest videos. I'm gonna add another hula hoop to this to make it two. So I'm gonna be cutting a board that I'm gonna be gluing to the bottom of what I've just made. I'll be using this tight foam that I got from Home Depot inside all of the boosters and also at the open spaces. Because of the way this swells over time, I'm just going to fill up the boosters halfway and then see how it goes from there. Because if I overdo it, it's going to swell and overflow and it's going to be a whole mess. So it's safer to just put it halfway and watch how high it's going to grow. All of the boosters are almost filled up and they're all locked in tightly together and it's rock hard. I'm going to be using a strong adhesive to glue the hula hoops to the boosters. After some few hours, these were tightly bonded together. I used foam at the bottom with wood that's underneath the foam. You can just have a lot of pieces of cardboard at the bottom as well if you don't want to use foam. I used foam because I had foam at home. I used a spray adhesive to attach the foam to the piece of wood. Before I continue with the tufting, I realized that it will be better to cover up the sides first. So I got a cardboard box and then I'm going to cut out the width that I'll need and attach it to the hula hoops. To make this a lot easier for myself and neat also, I decided to remove the top and do both of them separately. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to keep it aside and make the tops for the top. When I was done, I stapled the back, removed the excess fabric, and attached it to the body of the ottoman using a strong adhesive. And voila, you now have a cute looking ottoman that was made out of pool noodle boosters. Now the second design is almost the same thing, using more noodle boosters, but the design this time around is going to be squared. The next step here is to fill up the open spaces and inside the pool noodle boosters with tight foam from Home Depot, halfway. Because I said it before, these things grow extremely fast and they get really big if you're not careful. So I'm just gonna put it halfway into the noodle boosters. I'll be covering the sides with plastic sheets. Now you can also cover the sides with cardboard as well. I decided to use a heavy-duty staple gun because it was much faster. I turned it over and stapled down the plastic sheet to the wood that's at the bottom as well. I'm gonna glue foam on top of it in pieces because I didn't have the exact size of the foam. And this is the fabric that I'll be covering what I have now with it. And that's it. It's all covered. I'm gonna cover up the legs with mirror reflective paper to give it a more edgy look. And to showcase this, I put it outside in the patio so you guys can see how beautiful it looks like with other colors, like the faux grass and the blue wall that I have outside. I sat on it and it's super comfy. The gray ottoman is sturdy and comfy as well. Because the foam and fabric that I used for this project are not going to be good for outdoors, I brought them all back inside. Now these are super cool to have because they're all light in weight and made with pool noodle boosters from the Dollar Tree. The steps for this particular DIY is super easy. The first thing I'm going to do is measure out the length that I want, starting with 20 inches, cut it, and making a circle out of it by joining the two ends together with duct tape. The next length that I'm going to be using will be 24 inches, and I'll be repeating the same thing that I did for the first one. The next length is 28 inches. The fourth length is going to be longer, and that's going to be 32 inches. For this first step, I'll be needing 5 circles, so the fifth one is going to be 36 inches. Now that I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is just stack them up. If you are a crafty bee, you would know that using hot glue and pool noodles is going to melt it. So what I decided to do is attach duct tape to the places that I will be applying the hot glue to before then gluing them together. And now that I have the shape that I want, I'm going to make another one. I'll be cutting more pool noodles to make the exact same thing that I did before. But this time around, I'm going to leave it halfway and it will be used as a side table. You should know that duct tape is not going to hold the pool noodles because of the tension that was applied before adding them together. That's not going to hold it. So I'm going to add the duct tape. And of course, that's not going to hold it as well. But this is just to keep it together before I then apply a mixture of cement and water. This is a thick mixture that I'm going to be putting in between the pool noodles. That's going to keep it in place and also give it a little bit of weight. I took it out and I spray painted it gold and added a flexible trim at the top and at the bottom. Covering the lines with a flexible PVC rope trim, and I'm also going to be adding gems inside. These are the gems that I added on the inside because it was rough because of the cement. Now at the bottom that's open, I'm going to be covering it up with cardboard that has been covered with marble contact paper. I'm going to add a push light that uses remote control to make it easy to turn the lights on and off while using the table. This is acrylic and not glass. That's going to be for the top. I'll be using strips from a mirror mosaic sheet to decorate in between the lines. I'm using hot glue to apply the mirror mosaic tiles inside so that they stay firmly in place. Here's what the vase looks like. It is a large floor vase, and I love the design around it. Here's the side table. Now I put something at the bottom to elevate it just a bit because it was kind of low. That's why I put something there, and it looks really pretty, especially with the lights on. Here's the actual height of the table besides the vase, without what I put at the bottom. What I'm gonna do is cut this to the length that I want for the chair. And then after that, make sure that it's sturdy enough to sit on. So now I'm just gonna carve out the shape that I have right here on the chair. I'm gonna use these little pieces and arrange them on the piece of wood to know just how many pool noodles I'll be needing for this project. Now I'm gonna go ahead and trace out the inner circle of each of the pieces that are on the wood. I did this for both wood pieces that I have. I'm going to keep this aside and arrange my pool noodle, getting it ready for copper pipes. I'm going to be using 1/2-inch copper pipes, cutting them to size and inserting them inside the pool noodles to make them stronger for a chair. And I did the cutting with a pipe cutter. I left 1/2 inch on both sides for them to go through the holes that I made on the wood. I'm gonna go ahead now and cover the pool noodles with a faux white leather that I got from Hobby Lobby. Now I'm just going to go ahead to have the pieces inserted in each and every one of the holes that's on the wood. I started out like this, but then realized I wasn't going to get it balanced enough for me to put the second piece of wood. So what I did was to ask for help and place this first one on the door to gauge it and balance it out while I insert the second piece of wood by the side. So it ended up looking like this. Now I'm going to fortify the sides again with extra strong adhesive. I'm adding tape just so that it would stay tightly in place while it dries. I left it overnight to set properly. And now it is sturdy and strong, so I'm just going to add more adhesive on the outer sides where the pipes are. I'll cover up these open spaces here with yarn. I got a hard board and cut out the shape that I want for the project. I also got a 1-inch foam and cut out the shape from it with a piece of wood before I had put on the pool noodles on them. I glued the foam to the hard board and made points for my tufts that are about 5 inches apart. Now I'm going to make holes on those points using a pair of scissors. I'll be using the same white faux leather fabric on the sides. All I'm doing is locating where the holes are and stapling it down with a staple gun. I neatly folded the sides when I was done. I'll be adding a thick amount of strong adhesive to the wood before adding the sides to it. And I'm also going to be stapling it down to the wood at the same points where the tufts are. This is the back of the chair. Now, because it's kind of visible from the front, I'm going to have to cover the wooden sides with white paint. And then when it was dry, I covered the back with a white board. I covered up the staple pins with crystal buttons. The accent chair now is complete. Now, I made this in a way that you can use it inside the home, but if you want this to be an outdoor chair, use wood that is perfect for outdoors, and you can leave your pool noodles bare with the colors that you like. This is pretty comfy and I love it the way it is, but I'm going to recommend using a 1-inch thick wood for the sides instead of a 1/2-inch thick wood if you're going to be having a lot of people sitting on it. Thank you all so much for watching. I have other home decor DIY videos that are linked in the description box below to check them out, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button.